Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at Nuscale Power. It is time for another update, and we are here with yet another opportunity. We might have a bottom in place finally within this structure. This stock has had a very nice week. It closed 37% in the green, and it's not just an exclusive event. We actually see institutions stepping in with big money, making these moves across the sector. So, today we will of course cover the levels of resistance we want to watch out for. Within a couple of timeframes, we highlight the levels of support that we need to hold to still be able to track a potential trade setup on this chart, and we consider that we are still within the area of support, and even building just a core position might make sense in this structure, and we will outline the structure we would like to see form that might even allow us to head to new all-time highs. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have questions on whether we have formed the actual bottom within the wave 2, and I can tell you this is a possibility, but we need to be extremely careful regarding that. So, we start here on the larger time frame to provide the context for this chart, where we have created an initial 5-way move to the upside within a wave 1, a leading diagonal, and as we mentioned even before, there are a couple of counts possible for this structure. I do not really care whether the wave 3 had topped here or here. It's pretty much all the same to me. I probably prefer this high, but nonetheless, I would still be tracking the same leading diagonal within the same wave 1. Now, as we move here within the smaller time frame, we have to consider the possibility that this structure may still actually be just a leading diagonal itself. It may be the case that this is a 5-wave pattern to the downside, and I cannot simply dismiss the orange scenario where we would have an area of resistance for a wave B that would actually lead us to even lower prices within a wave C, extending this wave 2 correction. We would be looking at the levels between $18.1 up to $38.5, but of course, a sustained break above this last level of resistance would be a rather strong indication that this structure is actually extending in the next wave to the upside, possibly even within a wave 3, where this wave 2 would have actually had a bottom here. We have this interpretation, nothing we can really do about this, right? We had this as a 5-wave pattern to the downside, and then we can look at the blue structure where we have been tracking a possible ABC pattern within this area, which still is in play. This is still a possibility for this structure. I am considering this in fact for the sake of having a wave 2 bottom in place. We could realistically track this even in yellow, and it's not necessarily ideal for a couple of reasons. We wouldn't have actually reached the area of resistance for the wave B itself. We already had the initial 5-wave structure within the wave A. We didn't get to the area of resistance within the wave B. We have been tracking this interpretation all along, and it failed. Even then, this does not make it an impossible scenario. I still have to consider this possibility. I still have to look for the possible reversal, and again, that is why we have this blue structure, and there is yet another reason. In the previous video, actually, we did highlight that within this wave 4 of the wave C, we hadn't actually reached the area of resistance. We have been tracking this to be a potential wave 5, but we didn't actually reach the area of resistance, and that is why we have been tracking this as a possible extension of even this wave 3 in blue, where instead of considering this to have been a wave 4, we have been looking for this to have been something like a wave B, where even in that case we wouldn't have reached the area of resistance, so it wasn't going to be ideal ever. But we have been looking for a potential 5-wave pattern to the downside instead. We had a wave 1 down here, a wave 2 up, and this would have been a wave 3 that could have actually formed even an impulse. We had that consideration, but we have also highlighted this trend line where a sustained break above it would be a first signal that this structure would likely not be extending even further, at least not within the idea of an impulse. And yeah, we can see we got just a few hourly candles on it. We closed the trading day right above this trend line, and then we exploded the following day, creating a pretty substantial gap. So even this interpretation internally we have to dismiss, and within the white structure I would actually still consider the possibility of this to have been a 5-wave pattern to the downside. I wouldn't dismiss this idea, but within this wave 3, we have actually reached the ideal target. That is not even a problem, right? The 138.2% retracement. We have actually gotten even to the next target, the 161.8% retracement. And let me move this resistance box to make it more clear. Yes, this has been our wave 3 bottom. And we have an ending diagonal that we can track in this overall pattern. So this idea of a wave 3 extension in blue is a realistic possibility, is a realistic expectation we can have for this structure. But at the same time, nothing is preventing me from really tracking this as something like an A, B, C structure. This would allow the wave 5 in blue to have a bottom. This would allow the wave C in blue to have a bottom. Also, potentially allowing the wave 2 in yellow to have a bottom. And what does that mean? Well, it means we can be looking for the wave 3 to the upside. It is a possibility now. We can track the reversal, but we aren't going to get stuck on the details. We will track the levels of resistance for a potential wave 3 in this area. We will actually track even for a potential larger 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just to cover the deepest level of resistance we could have for such an interpretation. But we are now tracking the reversal. Regardless of how this correction would have actually completed, we have the opportunity to look for the reversal. We have the opportunity to look for confirmation. So we consider in the blue scenario from now on that the wave 3 had extended because the reversal will now be tracked in yellow. And for the area of resistance in blue, we would typically be looking, let's say, up to the 61.8% retracement at $15.20. But as I mentioned, I want to cover a corner scenario simply to allow a deeper level of resistance that could be tracked. And it's marginal. We would instead be watching the $15.7 level. We can, let's say, even track this in white to keep it rather simple. So we have the levels of resistance we need to break. We want to see the $15.7 level taken out for a signal, an indication that at least the wave A in orange would have bottomed, if not the wave 2 in yellow. That we would then expect to reach at least $18, and we have the $38.5 level as the key to getting to new all-time highs. And I'm not going to pronounce myself on whether I find a bottom within the wave 2 likely in yellow or a bottom within the wave A only. By the time I expect to need to make such a judgment, I will have much more information, I will have much more data, and I would even expect to have levels of support I could be tracking that would provide me the indication of a failure, that we wouldn't see this succeed in extending to new highs. So we go in a smaller time frame where I can actually identify an initial 5-wave move to the upside. Now, is this structure ideal? Actually, no. I would have liked to form a more clear 5-wave pattern, but nonetheless, I can track this as something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. In such a scenario, I wouldn't need any further extensions, but to be honest, the internal structure, especially here, within this latest move and this correction, doesn't really provide a lot of confidence that we wouldn't extend even higher. I have to ultimately consider that this might have been an A, B, C pattern within the wave 1, that this would have been here a wave 2, and the wave 3 would still be ongoing in something like an A, B, C structure internally. But let's add some counts here. And primarily, I will be tracking the deepest possible level of support in a yellow interpretation, where this would have been the potential wave 1 complete. We would have here a larger 1, 2 setup, and I would be looking for a wave 2 correction into the support zone between the 38.2% retracement. This sits at $11.4 down to $9.7. Now, if we form extensions within this as a wave 1, I would have to look for a readjustment of this support zone for the wave 2, of course, but until this is the case, this is the primary area of support I will be watching. So now we can move within the different scenario where I would consider the wave 3 even to actually still potentially be ongoing. Let's say we track this in green and we would have a 1, 2, a wave 3 would still be ongoing, a wave 4 would be here, and this would be a wave 5. And as I was saying, we track this in green. And within this wave 3, we are of course looking still for an ABC structure, since I do not really have trust within the idea of an impulse in this structure, and I do not find it too likely to find the trust. So here I would track an ABC structure, and within this wave C itself, I would of course be looking once again for a 5-wave pattern as always, where I might actually prefer the idea of an impulse within this wave C, so I would have this to be a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down here, a wave 3 up, a wave 4 down, and a wave 5 to the upside, and I would be looking to hold the levels of support in the wave 4 down to the 50% retracement, so we are talking about the $12.3 level. As long as we hold this area of support, we can still expect extensions within this structure in a wave 5, and if we manage to build it, I would then be looking for a follow-up wave 4 correction and a wave 5 to take us to even higher prices within a large leading diagonal. I actually like both interpretations in yellow and in green. I do not consider that we should have too many issues in following through within at least one of them, but ultimately we will of course be focusing on the levels of support, where we know that if we break below $12.3, it would be rather likely that we would extend at least to the area of support in yellow, between $11.4 down to $9.7, and if we actually break even below the 78.6% retracement in yellow, I would rather be prepared for a complete failure of this structure to extend to even higher prices. I might need to consider it very likely that this was just a wave 4 within the blue structure, and we would see one more low before having a more substantial bottom. And for now, a couple of things I could add on top is that within the green interpretation, the green scenario, the ideal target for the wave 3 is not yet reached. It sits at $13.9. We would actually have to get there within the wave 5 to have some trust in a follow-up wave 4 correction, and then internally within the current wave 4 of the wave C of the wave 3, I actually consider that quite possibly we have a bottom in place. It is within an extremely fragile time frame though, yeah, even more so than what we have here within this structure, which is already quite fragile, but we can identify actually an ABC structure in this overall movement to the downside. Quite a nice correction into the ideal target for such a wave 4, and we see a slight reversal, but it is still early to tell. It is still within an extremely small time frame, and this is just for some short-term guidance, as we might actually just as well invalidate or even complete this structure by the time the market opens on Monday. And for now, you have the levels you need to watch of resistance, of support. You have everything that needs to be considered on this chart. You have it available, you have it presented, and I'm waiting for the evidence of which pattern is going to play out. And the great benefit is that we have clearly defined levels of support. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. And other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.